If you want to know how you can command higher prices for your AI automation builds, I'm about to show you. I help builders and freelancers earn more while working less by learning how to position themselves as AI consultants. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a real-life client interaction that I just had, from the initial message all the way to sending the proposal. So if you're ready to stop getting paid by the hour and start delivering 4- and 5-figure systems, click the first link down in the description and book a call. And if this sounds intriguing but you're not ready to book a call yet, you can click below and join my free school community. Now let's dive in. Okay, so this potential client reached out to me. He found me on Upwork and he says, I'm a dentist and I want to design a workflow so that Instagram form leads go to N8N. From there, the lead goes to TrueLark, which is an agentic AI conversation platform. TrueLark supports direct scheduling of patients to dental software. Basically, I need N8N to connect meta lead forms to TrueLark. Can you help? And so whenever I hear medical or dental, my first thought is HIPAA. Like anytime you're dealing with patient data or sensitive information, like that should be a red flag. And so my response reflects that. Thanks for reaching out. Can you share what fields are collected in the Instagram form? Also, I see your clinic is in Hanford. I live in Fresno, so we're practically neighbors. It's like a 45-minute drive for me, so just building a little bit of rapport. And then he responds with, hey neighbor, just a name, email, phone number, preferred date for appointment, their chief complaint, etc. And then he said that there's a merger going on between TrueLark and another platform, and so that project may need to wait a couple months. And again, whenever you're dealing with HIPAA, if you have patient information connected to medical data, such as their chief complaint, that is a red flag. And that means it's not going to be just a simple N8N integration, which is exactly what I respond with. Hey, quick heads up, since your form includes things like chief complaint, any automation touching that data would likely fall under HIPAA. Totally doable, just means we would need to handle it carefully. Happy to chat through options on a quick call if you're open to it. And then he says, yes, I set up the call, and then we go ahead and have the call. And so just to kind of compare and contrast, like a freelancer or someone who's desperate for work. I'm not saying all freelancers are desperate for work, but the thing that distinguishes an AI consultant, somebody who's in that strategic partnership advisory kind of role that commands higher wages, these are the types of questions that they would ask. And when you start to ask those questions like, hey, what kind of information are you collecting on those forms, to see if it is going to have an impact on HIPAA, that's the kind of thing that engenders trust because you're demonstrating authority and going above and beyond just, hey, hire me to do this job for you and showing care toward the project. And so now we get on the call. And initially he had reached out to me for that integration between the Instagram lead forms and TrueLark, but as we got to talking, I discovered that because of that software merger between the platforms that he's using, TrueLark and this new company that just acquired them, Weave, he wants to put that on hold until that merger is complete and everything kind of gets ironed out. But as we were talking, he started to describe that he needed help building a systematic referral system for his business. And so that's when I went into detective mode and started asking a bunch of different questions so that I could start to piece together how an automation might best serve this use case. And so I'm going to walk through some of the main questions that I was asking about that system, so you can kind of get a sense of the questions an AI consultant asks versus a freelancer who's just kind of passively there to do whatever they're told to do. And actually, if you want to see the full recording of the call so that you can hear the back and forth, that's available in my free school community that's linked in the description. So here I just asked ChatGPT to take the transcript that I provided and just parse out the questions that related to the referral system that we were talking about. And so I asked things like, what payment processor do you use? The reason why I asked that is because I'm trying to figure out what triggers in N8N could be used to kick off the process of sending the referral link or the referral card to the patients to refer new patients to the clinic. And so the takeaway from that is it's not enough to just ask, hey, what do you want to build? Because they don't know what they don't know typically. Oftentimes, clients will have an idea of what they want built. Like, I want to build a referral system, but they don't know what that entails. They don't know that there needs to be a triggering event that's going to kick off the rest of the workflow. And so this is when you have to put on your AI consultant hat and really dig deep and figure out what are all the moving pieces involved and what can I use to my advantage to trigger this workflow or to filter it in different ways, or basically to get the data flowing from where it starts to where it needs to go. Another thing is that he was talking about the restrictions on offering incentives for referrals. So, due to regulatory requirements, dentists, medical providers, they're not able to incentivize people making referrals. So they can't say, hey, for every new patient you refer, we'll give you $50 or a free tooth whitening or something like that. And so when you're working with sensitive information or sensitive fields like dental, medical, anything involving a personally identifying information or personal health information that falls under like that regulatory umbrella, you want to be really crystal clear if there's anything regulatory that you may not be aware of, but your client may be aware of that they can fill you in on so you know what constraints you're working within. Another question that is super important to ask anytime you're dealing with a client that wants you to build a system regarding lead generation or sales or anything that touches leads at all. You want to ask what the lifetime value of a client or a patient or a customer is for that business. And the reason being, if the lifetime value of a patient is in the several thousands of dollars range, as it is for this potential client, then that's going to give you insight into the value of the system that you're building. So if I'm building a system that's going to generate multiple new referrals for this business each and every month, and the lifetime value of those patients is several $1,000s, this is a very valuable system. And therefore, it should be priced accordingly. And beyond just being priced accordingly, you need to make sure that you communicate in the proposal why it's being priced that way. And I'll show you the proposal on how I communicated that in just a sec. And then the rest of these questions are just, again, kind of clarifying back and forth questions so that I can capture what his vision is for how this system is going to work. So I know, number one, how I would go about building it. But number two, if I can see any holes in his plan or any pitfalls that might cause difficulty for him in the future. I'm here to solve his pain points, not put a Band-Aid over them and create new pain points. Okay, so after I completed the call, I took the transcript from Fathom. I just copied it and pasted it into my proposal creator. And this is a custom GPT that I built with specific information about how I want these proposals to be formatted and what kind of style and tone I want the writing to be in. And my GPT is also familiar with the types of things that I build. So the types of systems that I build and what kind of tools I use. So what kind of constraints I might be working within or what flexibility I might have. Okay, so after I pasted in the transcript, it came up with a draft proposal, which I did make some tweaks to, and I'm going to kind of go through exactly what those were. And so my proposals are always formatted the same. The first section and the bulk of the proposal is talking about the pain points and the problems that the business is having as a result of the hole that they have that they're describing on the discovery call that I'm trying to fill. And so at first, my GPT was including the Instagram form to TrueLark integration. And so I told it, no, we're actually not going to be working on that project. So completely scrap that from the proposal. We are only looking at the referral system. So I did have to go a little bit back and forth. Usually my proposal generator comes up with something that's like 95% done, but I really wanted to create a proposal that was thorough and clear for the client. Okay, so the first part is the problems, the pain points, and really I want to use the terminology, use the verbiage that the client was using on the discovery call so that they know I was listening and I'm reflecting back to them exactly what they told me in their own words. So they have a big chunk of their patients coming from referrals, but they don't have a system to track how many referrals. And so that becomes a problem, which I'm going to highlight at the end of this section. But there's no system to track who referred whom, how many total patients are coming from referrals. Like it's just a ballpark guess. And anytime clients are making ballpark guesses about something major, like where their leads are coming from, that should be a huge red flag for you. Like you should hear alarm bells ringing and a cash register cha-chinging, because if a client is not able to make a data-driven decision about their business, like how they're spending their marketing budget, then they could just be wasting money and they don't know. And so this is where you get to step in and be that consultant, be that authority and that professional and point that out to them. Another problem and pain point is a staff dependent process. So it's manual, missed opportunities from lost cards. So if they're only using physical cards, like here, this is your referral card, you can go hand it out to people. I'm a millennial. If you're a millennial or Gen Z, you're probably not messing with physical cards. Like if it's not digital, I don't want it. And so if somebody loses the card and they're just going to go in to make an appointment at the dentist and they don't have a physical card with them, now that person is no longer a referral. even though they truly are. Again, reflecting back the compliance constraints on incentives. So, because you can't legally incentivize patients, it's more important to build a seamless system that makes it easy and natural to share. And that kind of goes hand in hand with this next pain point, which there is no way to systematically celebrate promoters. So without data, you can't identify or acknowledge patients that refer others. So you're missing a powerful chance to reinforce loyalty and connection with your patients that are just out there killing it for you. And so now I get into the solution section of the proposal. So a hybrid physical and digital referral system with personalized follow-up. So we'll build a simple, scalable system that blends the physical card process with a digital card process. So not only is that going to allow them to refer more people because they're not dealing with just physical cards, but they can send a mass text to 10 people with their digital referral card. But now it's systematic and it's easier to track. And it can all be automated without having to remind staff to send it. I actually had my proposal generator remove this section because we're not going to be having new patients go to a branded page that's specific to the person that referred them. It's just going to go to a generic page. Then the Twilio integration, that's going to allow to send the multimedia messages with the referral image that can then be forwarded digitally. A simple staff process that is just one click. They don't have to learn anything new. It's just a very minor tweak to their day-to-day. And then I include the scope of work and timeline. So it's about 2 to 3 weeks from kickoff. And then this is just a list of everything that they get, like all the features and bells and whistles. And when I'm creating my timeline, I always like to say it's going to be longer than what I actually anticipate. This can probably be done in like a week and a half. But that way I have the opportunity to go above and beyond and really knock it out of the park for my client. Okay, and then at the end of the proposal is when I get into the investment. So I have it as $3,000. Half of it is due at the time that they decide to engage, and the other half is due upon delivery. And then in my terms and conditions, I always say no refunds once the build has started. The reason why I say this is because I had a client one time that I said it was going to be about a month. I busted my butt and got like half of it done in the first week. So she had already paid the 50% up front, but by the project timeline standards, it had only been 25% of the project. So because of internal issues at their business, they decided they needed to postpone the remainder of the project. And so then it became a discussion about, well, have you done half of the work to justify the cost of me paying you 50% up front? And so now, just to avoid any of that awkward conversation and me being like, yes, I did. Here's everything I did. Like, it's just so much more work. Now I just spell it out in my proposal. Once the build has started, there are no refunds. And then I always include a link for them, which I set up in Stripe for them to pay the deposit. And then if they have questions, then they can book a follow-up call. So I just wanted to add one more thing to this proposal, which is, since referrals are patients acquired at zero cost and patients have a lifetime value in the thousands of dollars, the system can generate return on investment within 1 to 2 additional referral patients. So I feel like that's a really powerful selling point. And this is what I was talking about earlier, how you pitch to the client and how you, I don't want to say justify the cost or the investment that they're making, but pointing out the ROI that they're going to receive. It makes it easier for them to look at a high ticket price, like, $2 to $3 to $5 to $10,000 and say, okay, this is, an investment, certainly, but the payoff is going to be 10x that within the course of 3 months. And then, like I said, anytime that a client is making a ballpark assumption about where their leads are coming from, that should be ringing alarm bells. And so I asked my proposal generator to also include this. So I put this in the problem section. So unclear return on investment on marketing spend. So without accurate referral tracking, it's impossible to separate patient sources. So referrals versus paid traffic versus organic reach, let's say through Google search or something, making it hard to allocate your marketing budget effectively. This lack of clarity leads to wasted spend and lower overall profitability. So it's beyond just, I want to get more referrals. It's, I need to have insight into how many referrals I'm actually getting so that I know where my leads are coming from, so I'm spending money effectively. And this is kind of one of those things where you need to speak like the business owner thinks. So when you're talking in dollars and cents and marketing budgets and return on investment, like all of the things that comprise profitability for a business, it's going to set you apart and position you as the expert, the AI consultant, versus the freelancer who's just like ready to say yes at the drop of a hat and start building something with no insight into regulatory issues, profitability issues, etc. Okay. And so I created the proposal in Go High Level, which is my CRM, and then I sent him the proposal link. So the way that we kind of ended the conversation was me asking, because he had to go to take a patient appointment, but was me asking, what's the time frame? Like, how soon are you looking to get this up and running? And he said, like, as soon as possible. And so he was supposed to send me some assets last night, but he hasn't. And I'm sure he is super busy because he's been sending me messages back and forth at like 11 o'clock at night. And so I just wanted to get the proposal into his hands so that we can keep the momentum going and not just be reliant on him getting me my information. And so the way that I positioned it is, I know you were wanting to get this project moving quickly, so I went ahead and prepared this proposal for you. I also realized you were planning to send me a few more details, and if those materially impact the scope, I'm happy to adjust the proposal accordingly. That said, I wanted to get this into your hands now so that you can review and we can keep momentum going. Here's the proposal link. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts and getting started. Best, Lindsay. And that's another thing that distinguishes a freelancer from an AI consultant. A consultant now has taken ownership of this project, and so they're going to follow up. They're going to ensure that they get a response. And I think you'll find that freelancers who are just basically saying yes to anything that gets handed to them, like think about supply and demand. So if you're constantly saying yes to everything, then the supply is high because you're supplying anything and everything that walks through the door. And so supply and demand go like this. And when the supply is really high, it lowers the demand. So the same is true if you are more strategic about what you say yes to. And so rather than just being like full steam ahead, I'm kind of gently moving things forward, but also kind of hovering my foot over the brake, so to speak. So I'm following up, I'm staying professional, I'm making sure that he doesn't feel like the onus is on him to keep the ball moving forward. And if I don't hear back from him by tomorrow, then I'll send another little nudge. And because I also know the name of the dental clinic that he runs, I can give them a call or I can send an email or both. One of the follow-up strategies that I like to do is I like to build like a skeleton framework of the system that I'm proposing and send them a Loom video that shows them, hey, this is what I'm thinking, this is how it's going to work, so that they can start to taste the results that I'm offering them. And that's way more powerful to demonstrate your expertise and authority and give a little bit of credibility beyond just saying, hey, are you ready to hire me yet? Like poking them and just making it feel like a pain in the butt. So this discovery call just happened yesterday. I just sent the proposal today and I will keep you posted on how it goes. If he decides to become a client, I'm going to absolutely crush it for him. And I'll get to demonstrate what that build looks like and how I'm handing it off to the client in real time. And one more thing that I included on the proposal was the option for a monthly retainer. So I gave the option for a $500 a month monthly retainer, and I spelled out exactly what that will look like. So it would be up to 5 hours of support every month. Oftentimes, clients will kind of use a retainer as like an insurance policy. Like they're paying for something and they may not use it, but they know that it's there in case they ever need to. So it's kind of like a peace of mind thing. Like if something does break, if there is an issue that they need addressed, it'll happen really quickly rather than having to re-engage me and pay me my hourly rate versus the retainer rate. And so I just really kind of spell out what that looks like. And if you choose not to retain ongoing services, or if your needs exceed the included hours, which is the 5 hours of support every month, additional work is available at my standard rate of $150 an hour. And I'm just spelling it out for them so that they understand all of the factors involved. And so they can make an educated decision if they want to have this be completely hands-off. Like after the week of support that I offered in the proposal, is this something that I'm going to be able to handle and take on? And do I want to take on the risk that if something happens, an API changes or something happens and something breaks or needs to be tweaked? Do I really want to go through the process of hiring Lindsay again to fix it? Or do I just want to kind of use that retainer as like an insurance policy? Now you've seen the step-by-step process and the difference between a freelancer and a high-ticket AI consultant. Click the link down below to book a call so we can map your journey to becoming a highly paid AI consultant and leave the hourly pay behind. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.